Hello everyone, in this video we'll be discussing about principles of forecasting. What are the different principles that we need to keep in mind when you are getting into this forecasting process. So let's discuss them one by one. So we'll be discussing total three principles. First one is forecasts are generally wrong. When you're forecasting, we need to keep this in mind that forecasts are generally wrong unless you are god yourself. It's very difficult to predict the future. We are predicting the future, but whatever data, quantitative data we have in the past and some qualitative inputs, we may try to put our best efforts to project the future, but at the same time we need to keep this thing in our mind that forecast is going to be wrong. And of course, the aim of the forecasting team, the person is try to reduce that error of estimate as much as possible. But again, whoever is taking that forecast as an input, or whoever is using that forecast in business, need to keep this in mind that uh, there would be an error in the forecast, and that should be considered while taking a decision or while using the forecast. Second thing, we need to understand that forecasts are more accurate for groups or the product family than the item level or the product level or the individual item level. For example, suppose you are launching a new phone and you have launched a different variation, or you have a phone in the market with different variations. Suppose in terms of different RAMs, you have 2 GB RAM phone, 4, 6, 8, 16, 64 different GBs of RAM. Now, when you forecast for on the individual level, forecast for a 4 GB RAM phone, forecast for a 64 GB RAM phone, or 128 GB RAM phone. So when you forecast on the individual level, the there are more chances that the forecast is going to be inaccurate. On the other hand, suppose you aggregate it. Now you forecast for a particular phone, or this particular version of the phone, and you include everything, all the different RAMs into it, and you project it. That is going to be more accurate. How? Suppose there is a certain customer who was previously buying 2 GB RAM, now he's buying 4 GB RAM, or somebody switched from 128 to lower one because of less money or many other reasons. So customer may switch in between, and the there is certain GB RAM which is whose sales is going high, and there is another which is equally going down. So the both of the sales, they offset each other, and there is balancing off. And when you do the aggregation, then you get a more stable forecast. So that's the simple reason. Third thing we need to keep in mind is the forecast is more accurate for short term horizon. Like suppose I have a hotel which I am running, and uh, this month I had around 500 customer visiting throughout the month. So this is the January going on, I assume, and the February is going to be something similar to 500. Like it's easy to anticipate with the near term future. But suppose you ask me down the line to project for December, with the amount of data I have and the qualitative inputs, informations which I have, it's more difficult to project for December sitting in the January, compare it to the February. So that's the simple reason behind it. The forecast is going to be more accurate for near term future. Why? Because you have more uh, information about it, because you are near to it, compare it to the December. Now, keeping these things in mind, that doesn't mean now you stop, like considering the first one, forecasts are generally wrong. That doesn't mean that you stop forecasting. That simply means that you need to keep uh, that thing in the mind that it is going to be wrong, and have that buffer while using it. For the second one, if forecast is accurate, that doesn't mean forecast is more accurate from the aggregate level. That doesn't mean you uh, only focus on the higher level to have more accuracy. No, that's not the point here. And even for the third one, when you're forecasting, if you know that the forecast is only right for the near term, for you don't forecast it for the long term horizon, that's also not the purpose. that we'll be discussing in one of the future lessons, that at what point or for what product family level or what location level or what time horizon we need to forecast, that is a different discussion altogether. But these are the basic principles of forecasting that we need to keep in mind when we are into forecasting process. Thank you, that's it I have it for this particular lesson.